Good morning, all. This morning in the very early hours, I couldn't sleep for hatching a new plan to fully flesh out a script to help me as I took this brand new Zhiyun Smooth 5S combo up the hill from my home here in Galera. When I finally got out of bed at 5:30, I noticed a friend writing very disparagingly about a leading tech entrepreneur who I admire and spent 3 hours responding, as you do. The upshot, at 9 AM, I finally started scripting out where I was going to take the Zhiyun Gimbal with my Samsung S22 Ultraphone. With very little time to write the script, get dressed and get out of the house before the weather turned, as it does here in southern Spain, even in winter, from cool and comfortable to way too hot to climb hills. I hadn't actually anticipated cloud. So that's my romantic view of southern Spain up the Swanee. Anyway, gonna make my way up the hill here. Here it is, warts and all. I hope you find at least some of this interesting. It was my 69th birthday yesterday, and suddenly, after a few drinks, I decided I must write about the Zhiyun now instead of putting it off and waiting. This product is new to me, though not new to the world of blogging and videos, as you'll soon see. So I'll try and go through this walk from the perspective of a rank amateur who only recently discovered the idea of using a smartphone to video walks, and soon found out that even the best smartphones impose limitations when walking around. I'm standing here, I'm walking around reading a script on a less than ideal track, as you can see. If I don't kill myself in the process of doing this, I'll be amazed. The Samsung S22 Ultra has really great stabilization, but I defy anyone to try using the feature while producing a 4K video. You can have one or the other, not both. I've previously made short videos with the Hohem iStudy V2 and the PowerVision S1. At the time, I was very impressed by their combination of fitting into my pocket and stabilizing videos in a way the phone simply wouldn't manage. The PowerVision, however, simply would not let me reliably include live sound in my walks, and all attempts to get feedback from the company to date have failed. It seems very few, if any, Apple phone reviewers had this issue, but trust me, Android is another matter. I love the Hohem product, and I have to say straight up that the Zhiyun is much larger than either of the other two gimbals and will not fit into any pocket. It's also twice the price. But somehow, even though I've only learned about a tiny few of the features of the 5S combo, I feel this has opened up a whole new world. Enough of that. I'm going to show you my cave home, if I can. Yeah, dare I try the zoom? Go on, Peter, you can do it. You can just see my house at the very bottom of the picture. Let's go back to a more reasonable zoom while I walk around. If this doesn't work out, you won't be seeing this video, as this is the first outing I've done with the Zhiyun in hand. Be aware, this is definitely not going to be a studio production. I already know I'll be doing any cutting directly on the phone and sending the results straight to YouTube. To make this video, I'm using the simpler of the two apps called accompany. More about that on the blog. Wish me luck. Before I forget, the builder's, shall we say, home, just up from our place. Yeah, I nearly forgot about that one. What you're looking at is a typical construction out here in the outskirts of the village. The builder started off with a hole in the mountainside. Incidentally, we're 900 meters above sea level right now, and he's building his own house for his own use. Bit of construction here, then some real work, then a bit more construction, etc., etc. Not that long ago, this was a farmer's chicken housing. I'm confident in a few months it'll be a nice home with its own road, as against the current track, which doesn't make it easy for me to video, nor does it do much for taking romantic panoramas of the area. But all of that will change very soon. Take a quick look. Hold on now. The next thing I've got to do is to master using the light. Let's have a go. Well, that didn't work too well, did it? I'm just going to continue on without jabbering, and then soon I'll be at the top of this particular hill. Thankfully, I left the gimbal, the phone and my microphone on charge last night, so hopefully I'm not talking to myself. I guess any of you who are used to professionals making these videos probably won't be impressed by the smoothness of this at all. Bearing in mind it is a 4K video, which the Samsung cannot do on its own with stabilization. You have a choice of high definition or stabilization, not both. This road gets worse as I go along. Lots of bumps. I call it a road. Let's rephrase that. It's a track. At this point, I don't actually get much. I don't need to get much higher. I don't know if finally I can give you a better view of our house. Not until I master the different modes, which will let me move the thing up and down. But you can actually see there's a Renault Clio in front of the house, more or less in the middle. Behind it, it's got a little makeshift pergola, and that's our place there. Right, back on with the journey. It looks like on these notes I should have added in changing modes from follow to the other mode where the thing will go up and down. All dead easy, well explained in tremendous amounts of documentation online and plenty of videos out there. No doubt many of which are going to be much better than this one. But this is, as I said at the beginning, taken from an amateur perspective. I don't know what I'm doing. I've played with 2 gimbals up to now. Took one of them all the way from Spain to Morocco with me. And I tell you what, I wouldn't have been without it. Sat on a bus, which was jumping up and down on tracks much worse than this. And yet I actually managed to take decent video. Everybody else's videos were just all over the place. There's no doubt about it, these are a good deal. Yep, I'm starting to run out of breath. However, I'll keep going. I was sensible enough to put my hat on, even though I thought it was going to be really sunny. Wrong. The weather forecasters here in Spain are not much better than anywhere else. Last night the forecast said bright and sunny all day. Or is it now 10:30 in the morning and I can't see sun anywhere? So the romantic video is going to have to wait until our trip to Segovia in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully you can hear me reasonably well. And that's because I'm using a lavalier microphone with the S22 Ultra, which fits in the bottom of the phone. And therein, I'm off script now. Therein lies a story in itself. The other 2 gimbals I own, there is no way you could fit a USB attachment to the bottom of the phone. But because the Smooth has a manual adjustment to the length of its arm, the phone is actually way off center here. But I've adjusted the arm, which you'll see in the blog, to compensate. Simply not possible with the other gimbals. I didn't actually think that would work with this, because you see videos that say, oh yeah, this works great with the iPhone, but there are some phones like the Samsung which it may not, as if Samsung was just like an also-ran. As far as I'm concerned, the S22 Ultra is one of the best phones out there at the moment. I say that just because I'm not an Apple fan. Apple fans might well disapprove of that message, but I'm at the top of a hill in the morning and totally exhausted, so you'll have to bear with me. That's our water tower. And in case you're wondering why it's filthy dirty, do you remember reading about the kalimas that were coming from Africa, the storm clouds, orange storm clouds? Well, they hit us something awful last year. And being a public-owned building, this has never really been cleaned up. The rest of us spent a fortune repainting our caves. You can start to see the village of Galera there, way down at the bottom. Did I mention this is 900 meters above sea level? This zooming I'm doing, which I'm still a bit amateur at, is done on the gimbal. I'm not touching the phone at all. Absolutely everything can be controlled by the gimbal itself. While I have a breather, let me tell you about the USB-C microphone. I bought it at Amazon UK, and it's called, well, I'll spell it out, SNZIYAG, for a little under £30 when I was back in the UK a couple of months ago. There's a great job for the price, but I'll leave you to decide just how good or bad it's doing. I normally bring my cat up here, which would have made this video a little more interesting in the cloud. But I'm not sure I could handle the gimbal, a set of notes, and chasing after the cat at the same time. He has a tendency to lose the plot every now and then when he's up off a lead, up in the hills, especially if somebody's dog appears out of nowhere. But hey, that's the life of a cat. My best friend Simba. I'm just going to change sheets of paper. I brought this with me. The reason I did this is I'm at the age where every now and then when you're having a conversation live, something you can't really do much about like this, and you're going to mention a product and you can't for the life of you remember the name of it. So I thought, well, I'll write everything down. I have to say half of this is off script anyway, but that was relatively smooth. The way back down won't be. So I go to the very end of the track there, and then I start to go downhill, and I'll end up on the other side of the hill. If nobody likes this video, then at least it forced me to get out of the house, stop pontificating, and get some walking done. Which was part of the reason for getting a gimbal in the first place, really. Walk around, take videos of the area without the video jerking all over the place. I hope I'm right in saying that this is pretty smooth up to now. Now, if that damned light had worked, I could have shown you the inside of this little number. Buried at the top of the mountain is a cave that at some point was obviously something or other. Now it's just a little place where it's only a few meters deep. Apparently the young kids come at night if they want to bring their drinks or whatever, yeah, and be away from the adults. It's marvellous. But I'll just try once again, see if I can convince that light to come on. Actually, I've got this on automatic level, so it's actually light enough for you to see inside. But no, the gimbal's lighting is not going to come on. It's just going to be awkward. I'll explain why in the blog when I get back and sit down. I'm certainly not coming back up this hill again just to show you a light. But the Smooth 5S has a light built in, nice one. The combo version comes with an extra light that can sit on the top of your phone, forward or backwards. If you want to add in a selfie, it can be facing back at you. And it's got these little plastic filters, which you can optionally, they're magnetic, optionally just stick on to make the light warmer or cooler or whatever. It's got all that kind of thing. Okay, 30 euros or whatever. Sounds like a lot of money for a little light, but it's quite good. It doesn't have any batteries. It's magnetically mounted and it gets its power from the actual gimbal. So you just drop the light on top of your phone, the clamp that's holding the phone in place, and you're done. Right. This is the point where I may have to concentrate on walking. The purpose of this video is to tell you about the Zhiyun, but as an aside, that microphone I told you about, is it doing a reasonable job of keeping my voice level up whilst minimizing the wind? There is a little bit of wind out here. Not a lot, but some. As you can see, the scenery here is somewhat different to the other side. I've got to go down that steep slope. As I can't remember how to change modes, I'm going to manually move the camera down at this point. There you go, so you can get to see the general caves. And over on the right, that's the village of Galera over there. Just behind this hill here is my place. And here we have what? Half a dozen homes. These are great. Nearly all populated by Brits who love to come out into the wilds of Spain. Can you tell I'm trying to keep your mind occupied while I go down this steep and rather awful hill? And if I don't make it home, that'll be because I'm gabbing too much. I'm going to go back the relatively easy way. Bearing in mind I'm still at the other side of the hill. I think you can see some stairs somewhere there, can you? Yes. You'll see them in close-up shortly. Do I have any criticisms of this device? Yes, of course I do, but they're minor. One of them is my left hand that's currently holding this and has been throughout this walk is getting a little worn down. I suppose I could swap hands, but then I'd ruin me impeccable video as I swapped hands, so I won't. I'm going to, again, simply because I haven't mastered all the controls yet, just move the phone manually there up a little. You get to see a perfect view of our currently pretty miserable skyline. But am I right in saying behind me, at last, there's some sun appearing? Yep. Not much. It's still hiding behind the clouds, but I can feel it on my back. It's really nice and warm. I've taken this gimbal out in the car, and you're sitting as a passenger in the car, and you end up, what you're seeing now is a fairly steady image. I'm actually moving the gimbal from side to side, 45 degrees either way, just to simulate the kind of wobbling you get in the car. And it's not really doing the image any harm at all. Okay, I've done most of the dangerous bits where talking to your phone while walking could end up shortening your life. This is a very pleasant area here. And you're about to see in the middle of the photograph the stairs I have to go over to get back to our cave. This place is owned by a retired doctor. He doesn't speak English, but I've been to his home a couple of times. Very pleasant. I won't keep pointing at his house because he's probably up. Okay, that's pretty much covered the other side of our hill. The script incidentally went in the bin. I figured I'd just ad-lib this at this point. Stairs are boring wherever you are. No safety handrail. Safety doesn't seem to be a major consideration in rural Spain. If you fall over, well, that's your own fault. Maybe a quick pan of our barrio, if you like, or street, which is a kind of an over-exaggeration, but our little area. Alright, so this is the view from the other side of our pergola. There we are. This is our pergola that I was referring to. We have a hot tub, which is not in use at this time of year. And here we are, back where I started. Okay, so now, just to be out what that light's going to work, watch. I'm back in my cave, pull the button down, and there you are, the light's on. And finally, without the gimbal, because I'm holding it in my hand, locked in place. You have 3 controls there to stop it wobbling about when it's in your hand. There's the clip-on light, and at the back you see that? A white light. And on my neck, the lavalier microphone,